We may as well kick off. Well, good afternoon and thank you for joining me today for our lunchtime session on micro-credentials at University of Galway's Centre for Adult Learning and Professional Development. My name is Emma Goode. I am the MicroCreds project lead at the university. I am joined today by a selection of University of Galway academics who have designed and delivered micro-credentials in subject areas as diverse as business law 2, data protection and company law, a suite of health promotion courses, including mental health promotion, promoting health in the workplace, and promoting healthy behaviours, and lastly, a range of micro-credentials relating to the manufacturing technology, including scalable science, technology and innovation, rapid prototyping and pilot production, enabling laser technology for manufacturing, program sensors and actuators, and design of engineering systems. This session is being held as a Zoom webinar, so if you have any questions on micro-credentials or if you have any questions for our panellists, please submit them via the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. Some of my colleagues are moderating the Q&A, and at the end of the panel discussion, we will respond to any questions that come through to us. Now, many of you are aware of what micro-credentials are, but for those who are new to the concept, I will give a brief overview of what they are and the beneficial differences between them and previously available short courses. I will also explain what the recognition of prior learning is and how it can be leveraged in your educational journey. Our panellists will give some information on their specific topics, as well as talking more generally on how micro-credentials differ from traditional methods of education, what is expected of learners from an academic perspective, how much work is required for a micro-credential, and how students are assessed on their learning, and so on. Now, this webinar is being recorded and will be emailed to you, so there's no need to worry about taking notes or screenshots. You can focus fully on the information as it's being delivered. Now, today's University of Galway panellists are Professor Gerard O'Connor, who has designed and delivers micro-credentials in advanced manufacturing technology, Dr. Aoife Howard, who oversees the health promotion micro-credentials, and Abigail Rekas, who delivers some of our law micro-credentials and will today be focusing on business law 2, company law and data protection. Before we get to the panel discussion, I'm going to very quickly go through what a micro-credential is. Essentially, micro-credentials are short accredited courses, and what accredited means is that on completion of the course, the learner receives a formal university record of their learning. These learning outcomes have been assessed against transparent and clearly defined standards on a national level. It's a means of providing learning opportunities, offering a highly flexible, impactful, bite-sized and accessible way of upskilling and reskilling. While micro-credentials are standalone units of learning, they are designed to be stackable and can be combined with other micro-credentials where recognised pathways have been formed to achieve larger qualifications, such as certificates, diplomas or masters. At their essence, they provide the learner with specific knowledge, skills and competencies that respond to societal, personal or labour market needs. Micro-credentials are designed to meet the identified demands of learners, enterprise and industry sectors and are built upon University of Galway's areas of expertise. Having a micro-credential demonstrates that you have studied at a university level and have completed this course to a quality assured standard. Each micro-credential will give you skills and knowledge directly related to the work environment and can assist in your career development. As these are university courses, modules, they require a level of commitment. So unlike other short courses, which require attendance and participation, you do need to invest time and effort into any micro-credential you choose to undertake in order to successfully complete it. Now, we have an extensive variety of short, flexible micro-credentials available for semester 2, targeted in key areas such as sustainability, business and management, science and technology, languages, nursing and healthcare, and AI. And just to quickly touch on what the recognition of prior learning is, it's a process by which your previous learning is formally valued by University of Galway. Through the RPL process, your prior learning is identified, assessed and recognised by the university in relation to the courses that it offers. Prior learning may have been acquired through previous formal courses, work experience, or training, and it can be used to access entry to a course where learners do not meet the standard entry criteria, advanced entry into a course, they may be into the second or third year, and exemption from one or more modules on a course. My colleague in the Centre for Adult Learning and Professional Development, Suzanne Golden, whose contact details are on this slide, will be able to assist you with any query you may have with this regard. Now, I think that's more than enough from me. If you have any questions, please put them into the Q&A. My academic colleagues cannot wait to begin telling you about the micro-credentials that they deliver. So firstly, Abby, if I can start with you, can you give a brief introduction to Business Law 2, Company Law and Data Protection, and why this is an area that might attract learners?
So the thing that's great about the business law module is that it is a plain language introduction to company law, which is hugely important to anyone who is wanting to operate a business in Ireland. So one of the key things that we go through in Business Law 2 is your selection of options for a business form, what it means to have limited liability, what you need to do, what formalities you must comply with. So it's a practical introduction to company law, which if you are doing business in this country, you want to be aware of what your rights and obligations are when you form a company and what each specific type of company form gives you. Um, and then, it also introduces you to the notion of the GDPR, which is more intimidating to people than I think it is truly complex, and sort of getting a sense of what data protection means in this country and how we apply data protection in Ireland, how to be compliant, what the terms of the legislation actually mean, and how to determine who you are in the data chain and your obligations. So the great thing about the law micro-credentials is they are actually geared for non-lawyers. They're geared to be practical introductions to the area of law. Now, we're not going to make you a lawyer in 12 weeks for a 5 ECTS credit course, but what we are going to do is equip you with the skills that you need to be a better self-advocate, to know when you need a lawyer, to know the right kinds of questions to ask your lawyer. And so it's more about practical application of the law than sort of high level theory.
Very good. So in a case, it's sort of alerting you to know what you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and also to sort of equip you to be like, all right, I know I need to do X, Y, and Z to get myself going here. Or, oh, I forgot to do X, Y, and Z. I better get on that.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Ger, you're here today with a full house of micro credentials in advanced manufacturing technology. Could you very quickly run through each of them and explain why somebody might want to upskill in this area?
Okay, so I'll take quite a simple approach. I know I'm coming with a range of different modules. I suppose the underlying motivation is that we feel there is changes coming to the way we manufacture products in industry. People often use the word digitalization and sustainability, this twin challenge that the industry is facing. And so we think things are going to have to change. And so with our microcreds that are on at the moment and that are coming in the next semester, we thought we'd address this. And so the first module centers around design of engineering systems. And design is about developing something new. And that module really does just a few things. It just clarifies what is the engineering task. And secondly, it comes up with concepts that address that particular task. And then there is an embodiment, a making real those concepts. I'll come back to that in a moment. And then there's the final, just the detailed design that an engineering or an industry might want. That's the first 5 ECTS module. The second module then that I'd mention here is the rapid prototyping and pilot development. And that really takes the concept of a design and puts it into a prototype. And so lots of people are probably aware of the different makerspace tools like the 3D printing, the laser cutting, these technologies in additive manufacturing, which are transforming the way we make things. So this is a module on that makerspace technologies. So that's really a really useful skill. The third module that I'd like to kind of talk about then is the moving into production. If you're interested in production and programming and sensors and actuators that would play into the whole robotics and automated manufacture processes, that's where that particular module sits. And then we have an advanced module, Erica, a module for real advanced tech, like how a laser beam, which is used right throughout industry in Ireland, particularly in the medical device sector, interacts with materials and shapes materials. That's just an example of an enabling technology that's used to transform materials. So that would be, our fourth module. And our final module then is just a step back from all of this and to say, what is scalable science about? What is technology and how can we innovate using technology? And that's scalable science, technology, and innovation. It describes the scientific process. It describes what is technology and how do we break down technology into its constituent parts, and then how do we innovate using it. So quite complex, the offering, but they're all discrete modules. And I just would encourage, if somebody was interested, just to take one, start their journey, and we'll be happy to work with them. Thanks.
Thanks, Gerard. So from an applicability perspective, the learners that you're, I suppose, addressing for these modules, they would be already working in medical or in that sort of engineering, production, manufacturing space, and that what they learn in your micro-credentials could almost be directly applied in their work.
Absolutely. It's a great point, Emma. So really, we'd expect learners to have a level 7 qualification already on a full-time basis. And then we would hope that they're working or have recently been working in a productive industry, manufacturing industry or company. And then we'd like to take some of the ideas from that experience they have of working and to put it through our modules so that we'll give them a different perspective depending on the module that they choose. So really the concepts are very much related to their workspace, and we will advance their hopefully their working career through that way.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Aoife, you oversee the micro-credentials that are designed and delivered by the Department of Health Promotion here on campus. Could you very briefly give an overview of what's covered, and again, how applicable is what you teach to the workplace?
Oh, excellent. Okay, that's a really good question. So I guess I always start with describing what health promotion is. And health promotion is about working with organizations, communities and government departments to promote population health. That's exactly what we're setting out to do. But a micro-credential in health promotion, it's designed to give students a focused, practical skills and foundational knowledge in helping individuals and communities to improve their health and well-being. So that's at the core of what we're offering in terms of each of the micro-credentials. So we're offering 3, and the 3 of them have very different themes. The very first one is promoting health in the workplace. And the second one is mental health promotion. So that's kind of like, I'll go through a little bit of detail on that now, but that again is kind of more focused on the general population, starting from youth right up to, we'll say, the aging population with regards to mental health promotion. And then we have promoting healthy behaviours. So I'll just go through those briefly, if you like. So I won't spend much time on them because we've got lots of information on those online. But promoting health in the workplace, just to give an example of what we cover in that, this micro-credential is essentially based on the World Health Organization's Healthy Workplace model, and it covers many themes, some including the physical work environment, the psychosocial work environment, and then you might look at personal health resources and work and health and that relationship there. So that micro-credential essentially explores case studies, theoretical backgrounds of concepts, practical activities and research evidence for interventions. Many of the people that come in to do these micro-credentials either have a background in nursing, in allied health, or in health promotion, but some of the candidates have actually come in without any background. And so you come in and you learn some foundational skills in health promotion. It's a really nice starter in this area of health promotion. And lots of the students intend to kind of go on, because we're so new to this. We've only just had we've run our first year in micro-credentials last year. So we're sort of following the students to see where they end up after they finish the micro-creds, but lots have expressed to come back, you know, an interest in coming back to do the postgraduate diploma in health promotion and indeed the master's in health promotion. But the next one, just to briefly mention it, this is my own micro-credential, because a lot of us in the discipline, we all take a micro-credential each. So mental health promotion, this particularly addresses the promotion of positive mental health, sexual health, and the prevention of substance misuse in the community. So I guess the idea there is that the implementation of mental health promotion strategies are examined across the life course in key areas such as the home, schools, workplace, community, primary care, and mental health services. And just to mention the last one briefly, promoting healthy behaviours. This introduces students to the relationship between behaviours and health, with a particular focus on the areas of nutrition, physical activity, smoking, again, sexual health, and substance use. So they're all sort of linked, if you like. They all have that theme of health promotion, but they all have their individual specific focus as well. So I'm hoping that has answered your question. Thanks, Emma.
And I'm curious, if somebody wasn't necessarily working with the public, so not as a teacher, not in a community work environment, if somebody was, say, doing a job like mine, where I work in an office with other people, and I want to sort of help support, or I just want to identify, I've got kids at home and I want to identify, you know, issues that could affect them. Is this something that I would be capable of doing, like the micro-credential in one of these areas, especially the one that goes from youth to aging?
Oh, it's wonderful. Yeah.
Identify, not that I would try and practice my skills on, you know, my poor.
Yeah.
There is an issue here. Now I need to refer to the specialists.
Oh, right. Okay, that's quite interesting. Yeah, I guess we talk about a community. We talk about evidence-based interventions that work in the community. So what works in schools to promote mental health with young people? What works in universities? What works in the community? So a lot of the research that's been conducted by Professor Margaret Barry, you know, even with the traveling community. So we talk about, that's what we talk about, evidence-based intervention. So it's not necessarily saying, okay, here are the key things to look out at. But we do look at the elements of positive mental health, things that affect mental health in the community, and what we can do to support that. So I guess it's a foundational introduction, you know. And of course, if you come and do the master's with us, you could do some research, you know, on mental health promotion. It's an area that I'm passionate about. But that's a really good question. You know, anyone can come in and do this microcred. They really can. It's I guess you have to have the level the level 8 qualification to come in. But I think anyone that has come in, they've said, "Oh, I've really enjoyed that," because I get lots of guest lecturers in from around the country and internationally. Even I just say, you know, can you come in and talk to us about what you're doing? And so we're very passionate about it, and it's interesting. And I suppose just to say quickly, the microcreds are 1 day per month. 2 of those days are online and 2 of those days are on campus. So they're very flexible. They're very accommodating to people who are out there already working full-time jobs. So, you know, they can manage that time. Once they have their timetable well in advance, they can say, okay, I can book these 4 days where I need to do a full on, you know, a long day of teaching instead of breaking it up and having lectures here and there. So they usually do those 4 days over the course of 10 weeks. So it's very flexible. It's designed to meet those needs. Yeah. Thanks.
Back to you, Abby. One key difference between a short course that a learner can take and a micro-credential is the fact that micro-credentials must be assessed, either with an end of course exam, continuous assessment, or an assignment or a project. Could you give examples of what your students are asked to do?
So the business law microcredentials are assessed using continuous assessment, and they sort of start easy and build up as the knowledge base of the students involved builds. So we start with some pretty basic quiz type activities, and we finish with problem questions, hypotheticals based on real life cases. and we ask students to apply the law that they've learned. So business law, it has sort of a progressive continuous education model for its assessment. And the benefit of that is it allows for the lecturer to be really hands-on and make sure that everyone is learning along with the course. And, rather than waiting till the very end and asking questions from the entire 12 weeks, we sort of break it up into modules and assess as we go along. And that's true of both of the business law micro-credentials that we offer. My own favorite course to teach, which is my entertainment law module, is built around an assessment that is individualized, agreed with me between myself and the students. And the brief is to do a piece of research from anything we've covered in class that is going to have a practical professional impact on their practice. So it allows for students who are working in animation to look at some aspect of law around animation, or students who are focused on the music industry to research, for instance, copyright in music or copyright and AI in music. And so, the assessment in that course is very individualized and very hands-on with me as a lecturer. So that would be what we do in law.
Excellent. So just to clarify, do your students ever have to sit an exam in an exam room?
No.
And for anyone who's listening or watching this, typically, I don't think there are any instance of in-person exams or any type of exam. Everything is examinable and assessed, but there isn't a case of leaving cert style tables and chairs into an exam book and the pressure that goes with that. Lovely. Thank you, Abby. Moving back to you, Ger, some of your learners may have been out of study for many years or may not have attended university in a very long time. So how does the delivery and design of your micro-credentials take this into account?
Yeah, okay. So that's an interesting point. I suppose maybe, so really we have typically each of the modules are broken up into 5 parts. And there is some reading and there's some presentations people will have to go through. And at the end of those, there is some simple quizzes, just really which confirms to us whether this learning has been encountered or not by the learner. That's the first aspect. The second aspect is that most of the assessment is based on continuous assessment then. So they take a concept and they bring that concept through the different parts of the module. Not every part will be applicable, of course, but when they bring it through the module, we're setting assignments and we're hoping that they will demonstrate their learning using those assignments based on that concept. So if I'm working in a manufacturing industry and I'm making an inkjet, using an inkjet printer, or I'm using a molding tool to make something, I'm thinking about the design of the product and I'm really exploring all aspects of the design for that process through the design module, for instance. And it just really brings a deeper level of understanding to the learner and what they're doing day to day. That's it. So no exams, as you say, no leaving cert exams, but we will push you to see that you'll reach the learning outcomes that we intend to get. Thanks.
Thanks, Ger, and I think what you said there is quite pertinent as well, that while there are no exams, this is a university level course. So there are rigorous processes in place to make sure that the learning is of university standard, and that, I suppose, attendance and presenting yourself to watch the presentations and so on isn't enough, that there does need to be a learning outcome that is met.
Yeah. Emma, if I could just jump in there, I think we all academics, in the university, we all kind of say every student matters, so we're really conscious of the learner, And the second thing is, we believe in responsible education and, academic integrity and things, but we believe that the programs have to do what they say. And the third thing we want to have a regional impact. We want to have an impact on our learning. And I think that would go across everybody on these programs, but other programs in the university. Thanks.
You see our colleagues nodding there in agreement. Thank you, Ger. Aoife, what can your students expect to get out of a micro-credential in the area of health promotion? And I know we kind of touched on this already in relation to prospective students, but do they have to have a background already in this area, or is an undergraduate degree in any area all that's really required for your micro-credentials?
Absolutely, of course. That's a really good question. Again, I guess no. I mean, a lot of the students don't have a background, actually. There's only one student last year that actually had a background and was working in health promotion in the HSC, and they came in and they did the course and they enhanced their learning and they went back with a kind of a set of skills to work in, to use in their job. But other people hadn't been to education for years and had no background in health promotion. So I would urge anyone, that this they don't have to have a specific course or background in this. But I guess in terms of the actual eligibility criteria and what you need to have, I mean, applicants need to be over the age of 21 years of age. They have to have a level 8 undergraduate qualification, or the equivalent is required, which is about 1 to 4 years relevant work experience, okay? And this kind of falls under the recognition of prior learning, and you've discussed that a little bit there already, Emma. So there is a lot of information about that online, and we take it on a case-by-case basis. So do get in touch with us if you're interested in doing a microcred with us, because we will certainly look at your experience and, we'll do our best to have people take part, because I think health promotion is it is practical, and, a lot of people are interested in it. It's a little bit linked almost to, all the different themes. It's about promoting health in the community, and a lot of people can be interested in it. So we're always open to people with various backgrounds coming in. But no, you don't have to have a background in health at all, actually, to come into health promotion. So I hope that's answered it, the question.
Person living in a community, really, and are interested in the health of that at a micro or a macro level.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And many of our, some of the examples of some of the students that have gone on with, the postgraduate diploma and the master's, they've ended up working in many organizations. Some of them end up continuing with research. Some of them they go on to work in a voluntary organization. One example might be in Jigsaw, working in youth mental health. We've got somebody working in Mayo, in the Mayo Mental Health Association. It's not necessarily mental health. It can be just working in, it's not coming to me now. What's the name of it? There's a particular type of social prescribing. Yeah, there's lots of roles there where you might be working in a social prescribing role in the community, prescribing things for people in the community that would benefit their health. It might be exercise or joining a particular program, or even smoking cessation. There's lots of various health topics, but yeah, and youth health, youth outreach as well. And in CRE, you can go into CRE and work in, promoting health, healthy hearts and all that kind of, all those themes. So I guess there's just so much to it, but, that's just to give a sense of what people end up doing, because they always ask, well, what do you do when you're a health promotion practitioner? Yeah.
Thank you very much. Now, time is ticking on, so I just have one last question for my panelists today. Returning to work, or returning or embarking on university study, can be a bit daunting for adult learners, especially they've busy lives, they've careers, families, other responsibilities. What advice would you give to a prospective student to allay their concerns? So Abby, if I could start with you, what advice would you give to a prospective student?
In the immortal words of Douglas Adams, don't panic. We are, I have to say, every person I know who teaches in sort of adult learning programs remarks on how much we appreciate the enthusiasm and the actual desire to be in the course. And one of the things that I've encountered is a lot of people who are sort of they come from a background where the lecturers are less than engaged, or they've had experiences that have sort of pushed them away from university education, or otherwise just they get nervous about coming to us and asking for help. And, I think that that's the big one is if you start to feel overwhelmed, if you start to feel like it's too much, don't panic, come talk to us. And, we are delighted to have you, and we're delighted to talk to you. So that would be probably my major piece of advice is don't let the fear sort of overwhelm you. Don't panic.
I like that. Gerard, the same question to you. What advice would you give somebody taking on a technical micro-credential?
Yeah, I guess, I think maybe the desire really is to understand more, to really understand your place in this complicated world of technology, maybe manufacturing, science. So that might be the desire you have. And yes, there's all these constraints around it. And, Abby's great for saying, don't panic. I think that I would reiterate that. But be honest with yourself and be honest with us as academics. We understand the constraints that people are under while trying to progress them. But one thing for absolutely sure is we need people to embrace this challenge in our region. Society needs it, and we will do all our best. We'll all do our best to help you get through. That's it.
Lovely. Thank you very much. And Gerard, I think you mentioned earlier as well how learner focused the university is. And I think that comes across our large programs, certainly our undergraduates and our masters, but as well in our micro-credentials. They are micro-credentials, they might seem very small, but the same level of care and attention that academics and administrators give to the micro-credential learners is the same as what you would get if you were as an undergrad or a postgrad.
Yeah.
And Aoife, the same question to you then. What advice would you give to a potential student?
Absolutely. I mean, the first thing that I would say is make use of the supports at the university. There's an excellent amount of supports. There's the university. I mean, we offer academic skills workshops, there's study skills sessions, there's well-being services, there's career advice. I mean, so tap into the library resources. If you haven't written something in a while, or if you haven't used a technology in a while, or the library, for instance, finding an academic paper, there's any amount of supports there available. I mean, we are there and, willing to help and encourage our students. We want the students to do well. I'd also just say, recognize your own skills, the existing skills that you have. A lot of people have time management, problem solving, communication skills, and perseverance. I mean, I think some people say to me, I've got kids, I'm working full time. Have I got the time to do this? And I always say, come in, because, it's just that little bit of time for yourself. It is possible to do a microcred. It is possible to do it with everything else going on. It is. They're designed in a way to be flexible, So yeah, I think that's all I would say. And just to say, you're not alone. Lots of people coming in are, they're adult learners. They're joining you at the same time. And in our particular microcred courses, you're joining in with the master's students. So they've any amount of information to share with you. And again, they kind of lean on each other, and it's brilliant. So I just think, don't worry about it. Come in and take that chance and do it. I mean, you'd regret not doing it, That's what my thoughts.
We've had just one question coming in, and it is a question that you've kind of touched on there, Aoife, in relation to the difference between a microcred student and, say, a traditional student in relation to the services. All services that are available for undergraduate students are available for micro-credential students. The fact that you may be in the classroom, so to speak, online for 8 weeks as opposed to 4 years, that does not matter. You have access to the library, you have access, as Aoife said, to the careers service, the health centre. Every support that's available for a traditional student is also available to our micro-credential students. So on that note, we've been here for just over half an hour. I just want to say thank you very much to Professor Gerard O'Connor, Dr. Aoife Howard, and Dr. Abigail Rekas. Thank you so much for presenting and talking with me today in relation to your micro-credentials. And I look forward to seeing many of our attendees online.
Thank you, Emma. Thanks so much.
Take care. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks, everyone. Okay,
bye. Thank you.